The news, good evening. The lawyer for VJ Construction says the business faces certain collapse tonight with the loss of 1,500 jobs. Earlier, the company lost its appeal against an order to pay 20 million euros to the owners of the Savoy Resort. It follows a long-running contract dispute between VJ, which employs around 100 Seychellois, and Eastern European Engineering Limited.
Judgment Day for VJ Construction, its eponymous boss arriving this morning in a last fight to save his business. Also in court, representatives of EEEL, who've spent 8 years pursuing a €20 million lawsuit through courts in London, Paris and here. Today, the appeal judges finally ruled 2-1 in their favour. The lone dissenter, Appeal Court President Anthony Fernando, cited procedural failures. But Justices Toomey and Dingaki disagreed. After the ruling, VJ's lawyer expressed personal regret at the court's decision with its probable consequences.
Disappointment, because I felt that we had a very good appeal. We had very good grounds. We don't have any further appeal process, so that's the end of the road as far as this case is concerned. I think that's the end of VJ Construction for the present.
EEEL now has 6 months to seek an execution order to acquire the €20 million, effectively seizing all of VJ's assets.
Today's judgment is a victory for my clients and myself, and I believe it is also a victory for Seychelles.
But how is it a victory for the people of Seychelles?
How is it? It is a landmark decision which shows that Seychelles respects foreign direct investments.
The case stems from a dispute over construction delays and other contract breaches back in 2011 when VJ was building Savoy. Today's ruling upheld an earlier Supreme Court ruling in June in favour of EEEL.
I assume that the judgment creditor, EEL, will go and take all the assets of VJ. The company will have to decide whether it will close, which is very likely, or whether it will continue to trade, which is, I think, highly unlikely at this point, because how can it do so with no assets?
Moments after today's ruling, Vijay Patel left the court without comment, having apparently exhausted the last legal avenue to save the business he built over 40 years and put his name to.
The Association for Rights, Information and Democracy, ARID, says it has registered several complaints from voters being approached by candidates and party agents to vote for a specific party and candidate in return for cash. Such practice is illegal, unethical, and an offence under the Election Act. In a statement, ARID says that vote buying is a violation of the law and the principles of democracy, and that it strongly condemns such violation and urges all voters, especially the young ones, to report such occurrences. ARID calls on all political parties and candidates to respect the rights of the voters and to uphold the values of democracy. ARID has also observed hate messages and insults posted on social media by activists from all political parties, and it is once again calling on everyone to maintain respect and tolerance during this electoral process. A 71-year-old Seychellois resident who arrived from India on the 22nd of September has tested positive for COVID-19 today. A press release from the Ministry of Health says he was at the quarantine facilities at the Berjaya Bovalombe and underwent testing as per protocol for release from the facility. He is not presenting with any symptoms of the virus, and he is at the Isolation and Treatment Center for monitoring and care. One person has been admitted to the Victoria Hospital with back pains following a bus accident at Seaview, Northeast Point, earlier this morning. The bus was on its daily journey to Victoria when it slammed into a boulder adjacent to a secondary road. The spokesperson for the SPTC said an investigation has been initiated by both the SPTC and the police. The Fire and Rescue Services has received firefighting equipment worth about ₹500,000 from the French government. This donation was made following the fire at the Providence landfill site, involving firefighters who had to deal with a difficult situation and lack of certain equipment. As a sign of solidarity with the Seychelles, Réunion made this donation of equipment. It was the French ambassador to the Seychelles, Mr. Dominique Mas, who presented this donation to the Principal Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Marina Confé, who then handed the equipment to Mr. Régis Bétiou of the SFRSA. Percy Charles Samson, a 52-year-old resident of Cascade, who was a principal drug offender in a maritime drug trafficking case, has been sentenced to 8.5 years in prison. He was facing charges for 3 counts of drug offense, importation, trafficking of a controlled drug, and organizing, managing, or financing an offense. ANB seized around 180 kilos of herbal cannabis on a sailing yacht at sea in the Seychelles EEZ in July, in one of the biggest seizures recorded this year so far by the police's Anti-Narcotics Bureau. As for the 6 others accused in this case, all Seychellois males, their case will be trialed before the Supreme Court later. The Seychelles Police Force has expressed disappointment at Percy's sentencing and is not satisfied with the weight of the sentencing given the seriousness and amount of offences committed in this case. The time spent on remand will be deducted from his sentence. And with this, we end this news summary. Thank you for watching. Have a very pleasant evening.